Okay, so what I want to show you here is how to take a simple square that you would use to make a box or a container and turn it into a template for a birdhouse with a traditional house peak. The first thing I do is put an X through the box. This is going to find our center. So there's no need to worry about exact measurements. Just put an X through it, and your center will be the intersection of the two lines. So there's my center. So now what I want to do is, and this is completely aesthetics and your choice, is I'm going to put a line right through this box and straight up. This is going to be the peak of the roof, and you'll see in a second, but I do have to decide how severe do I want the peak of the roof. So if I was doing a storybook house and I want something really exaggerated like this to really look like an A-frame house, I might do something like this. So this would be really high. Or I could do a traditional simple little house. So again, that's your choice. What you want to do though is make sure that this line is straight, so your template will also of course be straight. So I'll do a little bit of an exaggeration. I am making a 2.5 inch climb. So this line is 2.5 inches past the box. So now I'm going to connect the top of that line to the sides. And what I made sure was that I used the factory side, so I only have really this side to cut out and a little bit of the roof over here. This I know is perfectly straight because it's the paper out of the factory straight. I'm not putting this in the middle of the paper where I've got to cut all my angles out. So I'm just working a little bit smarter, not harder. And so here's my template for 2 of the sides of my birdhouse. And I can cut these out, this out, as my first template. Okay. So this could be where I put the opening to the birdhouse. And of course, I do have circle templates that you could use. You want to decide, how big you want your opening to be. You don't want it to be too big. It would not be usable. I mean, if you're using this for decoration only in a room, then it's perfectly fine. But once you put this down and it becomes part of a slab in clay, this is the part, obviously, you're going to cut out and determine where you want this circle to be. You could have it right in the middle. You just want to ask yourself if you want to really use this or if you want it for decorative purposes only. So if this is 2 of my sides, well, then I have other sides that I have to deal with. So this could be the front and the back of my birdhouse, but now I need a bottom, a base, and I also need 2 other sides. So what's that going to look like? Well, I always tell my students that they need little sketches, because when you do little sketches, little thumbnail sketches, it works out the problems for you in a small way so you can say, okay, now I get it. Now I know what I'm doing. But if I'm only looking at this and I don't understand what's on the other side or what's on the back side, then how am I going to know what templates to make? So here's what I do. If I'm looking at this as a template right here, it doesn't have the roof yet, so we can get rid of that. So here's a template right here. Now, there's only 2 parts, the front and the back, that have peaks. The sides don't have peaks. So what does the side look like? Well, let's take a look at what the side of a birdhouse would look like. So this would be my roof, and this would be the side. So you have to ask yourself then, what if I take this part away? I've got a square again. So I need another template that is just a square. That's exactly 4 inches. So could I just fold this in half? Yes, absolutely. But you want to make sure that you don't ruin the template, or that you are folding it as accurately as you can so that you have a 4x4 square. I prefer to do the 4x4 square, so I know my measurements are accurate. So once again, I'm going to go on this side of the paper because the factory already cut it nice and straight for me. So I'm going to put a mark at 4 inches here. Here. And here. There's my 3 marks. Now I only have 2 cuts instead of 4. So my side is 4x4. What I should see is when I bring this up to my template that has the peak is that they match completely even on the sides, and they do. So now when I stand this upright, the only thing I'm missing, of course, is the roof part of the template. So here's my template so far, and what's going to happen is this template for the side is also going to be the template for my base. My base is going to be 4x4 as well. Okay. So here's my side, here's my front and back. Now, you can decide that you want to have it so that your roof, the peaks are the side, and that this is the front of your birdhouse. That is a choice. That's an aesthetic choice. That's entirely up to you. Either way, you need the same 2 different templates. And you're going to need a bottom to your birdhouse. This is also going to serve as the bottom. And the sides. Okay. We're going to save the roof for last because we're going to measure that out once we have the actual birdhouse built. And I'm going to show you another template idea. Okay, so in keeping with not such a large size, I'm going to choose 4 inches. And we're going to do a different kind of birdhouse. So some students like the birdhouse that goes on a slant. And I'm going to show you what that looks like from a side template point of view. So instead of having to find the center of the square and make a peak up the middle, we're going to actually use 4 inches up the sides here, and we're going to take 6 inches on the other side. And that's adding 2, of course. Make a mark here. Okay, and we're going to do a birdhouse with an angled roof to the side. Okay, so what does that template look like? Let's see. You have to remember too, when you do the roof, you have to consider an overhang. So how does this translate to a birdhouse? Well, let's do another little drawing. If this is my template, how is that a birdhouse? Well, here's the opening. Now we're going to put a roof on. We need an overhang here, an overhang here. This is going to be another template in the future once this is constructed. And there's your birdhouse with a side angle roof. The sides, the same. I have 4 inches on this side, 4 inches on this side. This could be my front, or this could be my front. So how would it look if my front was here on the side? Like that. So the side view would be there. So that's just another interesting way. And these are basic design shapes. A house, an angled roof, a typical traditional peaked roof, and 4-inch sides. This is 6 inches high peak. This is an angled 6-inch high peak as well. And now you've got easy templates to use. Always save your templates, because if you have to remake a slab, you're going to need these. So in my next video, I'm going to have a slab ready to use, and we're going to make a birdhouse.